The stakes are high and needs are more complex when running an established consumer products brand. You've got mounting pressures across multi-channel sales, complex supply chains, inventory across multiple warehouses, and leadership needs fast, accurate data to make decisions. That's why leading brands partner with Baker Tilly, an accounting firm that specializes in the consumer product space. Their team understands the unique challenges of scaling product-based businesses, whether it's navigating transactions confidently, sales tax compliance, integrating ERP systems like NetSuite, or predictive analytics. Baker Tilly delivers. Discover how Baker Tilly's industry-focused services can help elevate your business. Visit bakertilly.com.
So I just found out from my wife that she's like, actually, I've already bought you True Classics before. And I said, you did? She's like, well, I bought it as a size too small, so I gave them to Jonah.
Jonah
and then
got
Jonah
lucky.
came up wearing them. I'm like, what's going on here?
Where's my shirt?
Yeah. Jonah's like, yeah, man, I have them. I'm like, what the heck?
Wait a minute. This is like the opposite that like moms and daughters have. That's like all the daughters steal their mom's clothes, but yours is the
Jonah
opposite.
jams all my hats.
Yeah. Oh, that
and
makes
then
sense.
he washes them, and then they shrink. I'm like,
Well, at least he washes them.
That is true.
That's one step.
That's really nice
I'm
of
like,
him.
Jonah, dude, you gotta this isn't like communal here, okay?
Communal.
All my clothes are not just up for grabs, dude.
This is usually a like
But
mother-daughter conversation.
but I will tell you the reverse. we went Christmas shopping, and I took him to Buckle, and every time he picked something out, I told him to go like a larger.
So you
in
can
the
wear
event
it.
that I could jack him back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think what you really need is an extra large.
Just
in
one
that.
more size up.
Yeah, there's a lot of like conniving
smart.
going on.
It's
at Buckle.
payback
That's
time.
It
smart.
really was. I was like,
What's
take that,
fun
Jonah.
is
That's
your
so good.
family is set up boys and then girls. So like you're gonna go through all of this with the boys, and then Jen's gonna go through it with the girls. Like
Yeah.
it'll be like switched. They'll be really
Yeah.
fun
Oh, I
to
have the
do.
same problem, but it's with my wife.
Mm.
She's like, "Oh, there's a new. You got this new like sweatshirt," and then I'm like, "Hey, that's mine. I've been
So
looking for
comfy.
that."
Gone,
Yep.
Right?
We need
She's like,
it.
"Well, it's so cozy. I'm gonna wear it now."
Yep, that's
yeah.
me to the
Right.
core. I always steal all of Logan's Harley stuff, and then he's like mad he can't find his like nice hoodie or jacket.
Nope,
I'm like,
gone.
it's mine.
It's in the washer again. I haven't worn it in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens all the time with our stance socks.
Oh,
I mean, it
I
is
can
like
imagine.
like that makes me furious. See, because it's not just my 16-year-old or 14-year-old. It's like my 6-year-old son, and he's like pulling him up to like
Oh, how
the top of his
cute.
leg, and then he's wearing it
He's,
with
like,
like
wearing it
with
with
a
pants.
low grade an ankle sock, a white ankle sock outside with a really nice stance sock. I'm like, dude, you're ruining the socks, man.
You know what?
Come on,
just
Izzy.
like
So
okay,
funny.
so you had 7 siblings. You
Yes,
told me earlier,
yes.
and you have 7 kids.
Yeah.
Just socks. Like, how many pairs of socks, and how long does that take to match your guys' socks?
Well,
in these
there's
households?
Or
There's
do
a-
you?
Or do you just like
There
fend for
is
yourself?
a big sock problem at my house.
Okay.
Because I literally go on and I buy socks almost nonstop. At least like a pair of 24 every month. And if you look in my closet around the house, I have no clue where any of them are. I do
just-
know that there are sock remnants all in my backyard, and I have no idea how they get there.
You know what? This is
really
a
bad.
subscription model right
It is
here
a
in the
subscription
making,
model.
You guys
where it's
just
like, hey,
invented-
I know.
sock,
Yeah.
just sock program,
That's a
where it's
smart
like,
idea.
hey, let's do.
You could literally
is a
each
really
family
smart
member
idea.
gets to pick like their color sock, and
I've
then
thought
you
about
order
that.
like your socks.
I've even told them that. I'm like, hey, you're the grays. I'll wear the blacks. Little kids, you can wear the whites or whatever the deal is. But it just doesn't work. They just grab whatever they want.
Yep.
And I'm like a really sloppy sock matcher anyway. Like with Stance, I will never have a matching pair.
But
I
that's
just grab
okay.
whatever's
If you're
the two
wearing
that are
That's
closest.
okay.
Yeah, that's,
Who
I am
cares?
wearing
Yeah.
pants. That's
Yeah.
all that really matters.
And then there's me. I have like I always have to match my socks. I'm like my Stance socks today. I'm like they're just comfy and they have to match.
I
But
don't know. I'm
Stance, you
too-
can get away with it just because they're all cool.
Yeah, probably. But I am a little sloppy on the sock stuff.
That's
But True Classic. This.
Yep, we're diving in.
By the
Here we
way,
go.
your background is really impressive. But before we even talk about like your work life, I want to get to know you as a person. That's kind of what we do here, right? So California.
Yeah.
From California.
Yeah.
So do you grow up going to Knott's Berry a bunch?
Not a bunch, actually. I mean, The times I probably went the most is when they call this thing called it's called Not Scary Farm, which was like in October.
Oh,
I
yeah.
They were
loved
known
this.
for that back in the day.
Yeah.
Because back then it was kind of like I wouldn't say crummy, but it was just not like a desirable place. If you're going to go to a theme park, go 10 minutes south and go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
But I mean, we went, but it wasn't like we had season
All the time.
passes to Knott's Berry Farm. And, you know, as a kid back in the 80s, it was kind of like, yeah, it's right here. It was cute. It was like very Snoopy, Charlie Brown themed and all this other stuff.
See,
but
that's like the ignorance of me. Like, I would think that like people that lived right there would be in there like every single day. I'm like, why aren't you just living at Disneyland? But of course, like for the people that are actually there, they're like, what would we do
Yeah,
that?
been there,
It's-
done
But it's
that.
the same thing in
Yeah.
Utah, right? Like, we'll have all these beautiful pictures. Yesterday, I was like scrolling. It's like, which state's the most beautiful? And it's like Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and they have these beautiful pictures. I'm like, oh, of course it's Utah. And then I'm thinking, I've never even been to any of these
never been
places.
on that
I've never been to the
It's in my
Arches.
backyard.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, oh, Utah dominates. But I'm like, I never go. I went there when I was 6. Who cares?
It's so true.
But it's true, though.
Yeah, that's
true.
very fair. Well, and then there's the flip side of the people who like drown their kids at like Logan, my husband. His mom dropped him off at Lagoon, and that was like where he spent every day of his childhood.
Oh,
and
wow.
now he refuses to take our kids to Lagoon.
'Cause you
He's
get
like,
so
"I
sticky at
can't do
Lagoon,
it."
that's why.
So I
It's
actually
permanently
like,
sticky.
yeah, totally. I like that your parents kept it like.
yeah, well,
special.
there's 7
Like,
of us.
cool.
It's like you
That's
can't
fair.
just go
No.
out and like take everyone. Like,
Oh, there's no
That's
way, yeah.
fair. That's fair.
You can't
It'd be
afford
so
it, number one.
expensive.
And number two, it'd be like, it would drive the parent insane.
Oh, just counting all day
My
long. Yeah.
favorite parts of Disneyland is when I'm driving in to go
Away?
park. Yeah, that's right. When I'm driving into park and I
statement.
I know, and I've got like all the anticipation, and then by the time we actually enter the park, and I've already spent like $3,000 on tickets, I am fuming. I'm like, this is not as cool as I thought in my head, and
yeah.
I get tricked on it every year.
Every year.
Every year, I'm just like, I am like a glutton for punishment.
Well, there are just so many parenting wins. Like there are a couple things that work, like the beach because everybody's happy. There's sand, there's water. You
it's
can
contained,
sit, you
yeah.
can have snacks.
Yep.
You know, there's certain things that work.
Totally.
A boat for the same reason. You're contained. Everybody's stuck together. You have to hang out, and even if you're fighting, you're sitting by them. So like there are certain wins, but amusement
well,
parks
with
would be
Disneyland, you're
brutal.
like, okay, what's the price per ticket per person?
Oh.
Per
And how many
food and food.
rides are they going to ride? Oh, you only got to ride 2 rides? The
That's right.
cost-benefit ratio just
Oh,
not
it's
equates.
ridiculous.
So
It's
expensive.
ridiculous. It's like it's the
Oh, I
same
can't
reason why
even.
people spend like so much. Who was I talking with this yesterday? It was like I think it was Jeff Call. We were talking about how long Thanksgiving prep was. Like it was like it's literally like 10 hours of prep for like 10 bites.
Yep.
And it's like it's an hour a bite, and that's the same thing with Disneyland. I don't do any more than 2 or 3 rides. You just don't have the opportunity.
No.
So you're like, you know how much money I just spent on that, and how much time I waited in line, and how much that was ridiculous.
And just
true.
the like financial piece, and then you leave, and all of your kids are mad, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because it's like we just like broke the bank. Take
I
you
think
to
the
this
smartest
dream.
thing that Disney ever did, by the way, is these fast passes, because like the customers don't realize they're still waiting in the line as long as they normally would. It's not like that they made the ride any different. It's just that they now all of a sudden you feel like you jumped other people, but you're still like as an average, everybody's still waiting the same amount of time. Yet they've made everyone think that there's something like there's something quicker. Like what, we're all idiots or something? There's nothing different about this ride. It's like we're
Well, and
all,
you have to pay what, another $300-400 bucks?
That's right, and then you have
a
to upgrade.
person.
Oh man.
Talk about cash cow.
Okay, I want
It's from socks to Disneyland.
So,
I'm excited.
what number of 7 were you?
Oh, I'm the baby.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
a baby
I'm
too.
the
Babies
baby.
are the best.
Yeah.
You-
Wink, wink.
Yeah, babies really are the best. The rest of them, I mean, come on.
The
rest of them. Yeah, the
they're
rest of them.
questionable.
But there's me. Yeah, no, I don't know. I kind of grew up like, I don't know if this is the same with you, but by the time, you know, you had, like I was the youngest of 11. By the time they've already raised the other ones, rules have kind of changed.
checked out?
My mom's checked out.
Yeah.
Like we literally, it'd be at the very end, it was just me and my mom, and it was Little Caesars pizza every night. And
Oh.
it was very
That is
different
the
than how everyone else was
best.
raised.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But it's
Totally.
you just don't have energy anymore.
No, I would roll into my mom's, but like right before school, if I was in elementary school, I'm like, Mom, can I have like $5 or something for lunch today? She's like, go grab my purse.
That's exactly
She's
how it
just like-
worked. That's exactly.
And I think even now the you know the status quo now for kids is like you got to show up, you got to drop them off, you got to be
Oh,
there and be involved. And I was like, I don't remember.
No way. No,
It's not like they didn't care. My parents
Yeah.
loved me and they loved all of us. But
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just a different time. They'd rather us go outside, come back when the lights, street lights come on.
You hear me
go dig a
whistle.
ditch somewhere, but just you can't be here right
My
now.
older siblings grew up on Little House on the Prairie. I grew up on WWE wrestling. 'Cause my mom was just like, whatever you're doing down there, just we'll talk tomorrow.
Just close the door. You're being loud.
So funny. So true.
Very,
so
very
true.
different. Okay, I want to talk. So you came out of Kizik.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so let's talk about all the brands that you've been able to help and work. Now you're with, obviously, probably is it fair to say that True Classic is the fastest growing brand in the country?
I would say so, yeah.
I
And
think-
I've been there for the last 6-7 weeks now, and I've known about being in the D2C space specifically for 5, 6+ years now. I've always seen them. And so I think in actually being on the ground with them, it is by far the fastest growing men's apparel brand outside investment, partnerships in terms of like having celebrities. It is like growing exponentially over the past 4.5 years.
Isn't it 500 million?
Over
In-
the last
in
in
5
in
years?
4.5 years,
Four and a
which
half-
is unprecedented.
And there was almost no retail, right?
No, until probably this last
And
year.
it's a really competitive space.
Yes.
That's the coolest piece to me. And what I've told you before this, I want to pick your brain on, because this is, everybody has shirts. Everybody, there's
It's like
so
shoes.
many
It's like with
brands.
Kizik, everyone
Yeah.
wears shoes.
So,
That's right.
so how did they do it? If this is 4.5 years, and they're, quite literally one of the fastest growing brands, the question everybody is
I
wanting
think
to know
ever.
is how.
I don't think it's just right now. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the fastest growing brands ever.
Everything's going against it.
Yeah.
Everything is. And how?
Well,
What would you say?
I think the biggest thing is having a good foundation of
Yeah.
your mission and your vision. I think the mission with True Classic is always predicated everything we do. And most companies say this, and they have a mission statement, they have a slogan, they have all these things, but they do it for show. They don't actually live on those kind of values. And for us, that's kind of our behavioral values of like, how do we deliver on comfort, quality, and fit, and that is accessibly priced, right? Because there's a lot of T-shirt brands out there. You can find another T-shirt, and you're like, I'm not going to pay $50-$60 for this T-shirt
Yeah.
and have it feel like it's a poncho that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Like I want to feel. I mean, our biggest thing is like, how do we instill confidence back into men that they can be accessible to the entry point of price? There's the comfort, there's the quality.
Yeah, it has it all.
And it's not just T-shirts. I mean, we have a whole swath of, pants, joggers, activewear, outerwear, and it's not just the T-shirt. The T-shirt historically has been like the foundation of how people know us, but the product offering has expanded super quick over the last 4 years or so.
It just feels like they haven't like jumped the shark on anything. Like this is just like, it's just going back to the basics, but making the basics better.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, okay, so my favorite show. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. Have you ever seen I Think You Should Leave?
I don't think so.
Funniest show
know, okay.
you'll ever see. You have to watch it on VidAngel, or you can't. It'll still like I only get to see half the episodes. But there's this one episode, and it's called what is it called? Anyway, it's like all these different designs. I think it's called like Dan Classics or something like that. But it's basically just like scribbles all over a shirt, and they value the price of the shirt on how many scribbles there are. So it's a funny show you
10,
ever see.
20, 30, 40, 50.
Oh, it was called Dan Flashes. Okay. So, but this is like the exact opposite, right? It's like we're just, and the way that my son describes it, you tell me if I've got it correct.
Yeah.
They fit very nice around the arms.
Yeah.
And the upper part of the body, and then they're a little bit more giving on the bottom part of the body. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
100%.
I've got that right.
100%.
Well, then why did anybody else do this for the previous 7 million years?
Making the basics better, exactly what you
Yeah,
said.
like, yeah, it's
is
like, why didn't
just
anybody
going
else
back
figure
to
this
those
out?
Yeah.
Basics.
Yeah.
I think that most men too. I even think of my husband, right? Like he's super broad shoulders, and then to have a shirt that like fits him makes him look like just a little bit more fit and in shape. Always is going to make anybody feel better about
Yeah, I mean
themselves.
that's the
And
whole
I love that.
that's the whole premise is like, look good, feel good. It's like
Mm-hmm.
once you feel you have that confidence of looking good in what you're wearing, you're gonna feel so much better. Your
That's right.
confidence is gonna
Changes
exude, and
everything.
I think that's there's that emotional connection. I think that's where most brands don't hit is they don't tie an emotional benefit to the consumer versus here's a T-shirt for cheap.
Right.
And like if I wash it, is it going to explode in my washer and dryer?
Mm-hmm.
But
But
I don't know.
This is so interesting to me because so many brands like this exist for women. Like let's help you feel better. Let's like make you more confident.
Yeah,
Let's
men's was
support
late to the
you.
game.
Yeah, and so the fact that True Classic has tapped into that, everybody deserves to feel good. Like
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, we were
I
chatting
absolutely
about
love
that with Rowan, Nate Checketts last week,
Mm-hmm.
where he's
Yeah.
just like, everybody in his family was wearing like Lululemon. He's like, I'm not gonna wear
Yoga
girl.
girls stuff.
So he's like, oh, why don't we just invent it for men, right? And I will say I have a little bit lower standards because I also wear Lululemon. I'm wearing one right now, but that's the truth, right? They always start with the women's side. But like back when we were in school and growing up, T-shirts never fit anybody in any sort of flattering way. The materials were
So
always like
true.
hard. It was like sandpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my kids do not know what it was like to wear one of those T-shirts.
No, my
This is
son would
beefy tea.
lose it.
Yeah.
Just the itchy tags.
And then
the-
they jumped the shark, and then they went super soft back in like 2005.
Yeah.
But then all your like love handles really showed. You're like, but it seems
Totally.
like they got back to like figuring out like the perfect medium here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, that's the biggest part. Is like you might look at me, you're like, oh, you looks like in shape. I take my shirt off, and you're like, I gotta hide that dad bod,
Oh,
right?
pish
Join the
posh.
club,
So, but for me, it's like I have to be a fan of the product before. Like
That's
I was
right.
already a fan of the product
Before moving over there.
moving there, right? And so for me, it was like an easy win because I saw the trajectory. I saw what they were doing. I saw what their purpose and mission was. And ever since going there, a lot of people are like, Blake, oh my gosh, I'm a big True Classic fan.
It
blah,
is
blah,
a big
blah."
deal.
So
Yeah.
it's like, there's a lot of people that share their points. So other guys that share their point of view with me. It's like, oh, this is great. I wear nothing but this because of these reasons. And so, which is super
Well,
cool to be part of.
It's a big, like I'll tell you, half of the episodes that that we film here, people realize that like I have my gym shirt on half the time, because like most of my day I'm just wearing a gym shirt, right? And then I come here, I'm like, oh, I got to change. But half the time I'm like, I don't have time.
Right.
But this is like exactly what like men would wear, right?
Yes.
Something that's like you can wear to the gym, but then it moves straight over to the boardroom.
Multi-function
Yeah.
in every capacity.
Exactly. So you were part of Kizik's, and a big purpose of Kizik's meteoric. Did I say that right? Meteoric rise. So tell me about Kizik.
Yeah, I
What-
mean,
what
so
happened
when I came on to Kizik, so Alex MacArthur brought me on. Alex is kind of a, retail D2C empire here in Utah. He helped start and grow Purple Mattress.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, and after he left Purple Mattress, we connected, and he was like, "Hey, we're doing this thing at Kizik," and for me, it's like being in the advertising industry for years and years, and being, on even the B2B side. I've had a lot of years on the B2B side. I was like, yeah, I'm here to learn. I want to continue to learn. I still have that motive now. So he brought me on at Kizik, and I was like, oh, there's something cool here. The shoes, stylistically were
Yeah.
more towards the function versus the style. And so if you ask anyone, when they buy shoes, they look at like it's always style, comfort.
Yeah.
But for Kizik, it was like function, style, comfort.
Yes,
And so
for
going
sure.
from a needs base, as we called it at Kizik, was kind of like aging America, people that are like can't bend over, put their own shoes on. And so for us, it was like, how do we untap that, but also how do we bring that demographic down
Make
to
it
like
cool.
30? So like not saying that you're lazy, it's just more of like, how do we get people are busier more now than ever with work, family, schedules, going in and out of the house
Yeah.
nonstop. We want it to be that shoe by your door or by your garage door that you go in and out and still look good, it's still comfortable, but the convenience will always be king among all things. And so that kind of how that started over the last 5 years or so I was there, going from how do we untap that market, bring that down, but actually show those benefits, not just the features of the shoes itself, but how do we have that emotional benefit?
So you're
to the
part
end
of bringing
user?
that whole demographic down.
Not just me. It was
Yeah,
just,
but
there was
that
a
was- that
team
was
of
part
us,
of
and
your- part of your job.
in the early stages, we went to Harmon Brothers, trying to recapitalize on some direct response performance ads and things like that. Those did well comparatively to Purple. Didn't do as well as the old school Purple ones back in the day with the egg drop test. But I think for us, it was mostly about how do we get people to stop? How do we get people to care? How do we get people to know who we are? So we were kind of just like not just surviving. We're just trying to thrive. We're just trying to survive and to like find that product market fit.
Yep. Yeah.
How do we get in there? How do we learn? What are people saying? How do we get people to continue to wear our shoes? And over time, we were just incessant on like, how do we connect with the audience on an emotional level back to, you don't have to have a bad back to step in your shoes. It's kind of like shoes have not changed in thousands of years. This is a new function of how we can bring, convenience back to people. It's like you look at some of the analogies we used to use was like, if you go inside of your car right now, we've probably all, a certain generation, had cars that you have to roll down the window manually. I mean, if you had to go from where car you have now to going back to doing that, you're like, it's a small
ridiculous,
medial task. And you're like, but it's the convenience of that, or the key fob. You're like, I don't have to put my car in the ignition and turn it. It's just like I just push a button and it starts, right?
Great analogy.
You kind of take those things for granted in terms of the convenience stage.
Yeah.
And for us, this is like you're doing this multiple times in and out. Because I have one of those households that are like, my wife's like, no shoes in our house, no shoes in our
On, off,
house,
on, off.
because I have my 6-year-old has cystic fibrosis, so we're trying to which is like a lung disease, and we're trying to keep that away from like bringing anything into the house and things like that. So for us, it's about how do we tie that emotional benefit to the end user.
Kizik, I was noticing they've got like 1 million patents.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, not 1 million, but it's
like over 100 though, isn't it?
Yes,
Something
200 plus, right?
That is
'cause
crazy.
That is.
we were never looking at the way of like having one way to put on shoes.
Yeah.
It was like, how do we find every way possible to put on shoes, between boots, between sandals, between different types. And so we wanted to, our IP at Kizik was probably 200 plus. We probably commercialized only about 5 or 6 of them. But it's like we created this moat around kind of our Kizik castle
Smart.
of like protecting the
Yeah,
hands-free.
knock yourself off.
Yeah.
Well, and just like the intention with discovery attached to it that I
Totally.
hear, like I can't even list all of the questions that you just kind of rattled off. And as a brand, just that awareness always of like, where's our discovery at? What are we wanting to build next? And with the intention behind it
Totally.
of just all those questions that you kept asking led to probably all those patents, right? Of like, well, what about this? And what about that? And how do we grow here? And that was just a really interesting kind of like.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is always listening to the consumer, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is a lot of brands, especially if you're in a brand trying to build, you want to instill your point of view, and sometimes your point of view does not connect with the consumer, right? And that's the hardest thing that I've had to learn over my career is like, you are not your audience. You are not, I mean, you can think you are, but it's like, I think listening to their insights, their feedback, and we creating these community pages on like Facebook and Instagram would be like, hey, what do you want to see? What are we doing? How do we be better? And it's always about the consumer and how do we best serve them, because they're the ones buying the product. It's like we're not the ones buying; we're the ones making the product. But how do we use those consumer insights? How do we use that feedback from consumers to build the best products we can that will generally be broad enough to cover a lot of the needs of that base?
So did Kizik? They started D2C, right?
Yeah, well, so Kizik started in 2017. So it started from Mike Pratt, and Mike Pratt was the brainchild of OGIO. So Mike built OGIO
Oh yeah.
from the 80s, and then ended up selling it to Callaway Golf back in 2017.
That's right. One of Utah's originals.
But yeah, Mike is one of those serial entrepreneurs. He is always trying to find he's always asking the question. It's like, literally, he asked that question that kept him up at night. He's like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why are we bending over, tying our shoes? I just want to step into them like easier than putting on a flip flop. And so he is that incestuous, Steve Jobs type of character to be like, if there's a will, there will be a way to figure it out.
I love this though because I mean that threshold of 30, right? You
Totally.
guys tried to bring it down, but that's also when you're starting to like trying to figure out when and what can I give up so I have more time. So like the convenience of life, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
what are the
Totally.
things that I don't have to do so that I can do the other things that I have to do
That's so
essentially.
true.
Yeah, I mean,
And
if,
so that's cool that you guys brought it down to that
yeah,
age.
if you think about like Nike, for example, I know a lot of people use Nike for an example at some point in their career, but with Nike, part of their MO was all about, if you have a body, you're an athlete. It was trying to instill this empowerment and assimilation of, if you wear this product, you can be like Michael Jordan. You can feel like you run faster, jump higher, whatever. And for us, at Kizik, we looked at it. It's like life is a sport, right?
Yeah.
It's like it is probably the hardest sport, and that kind of analogy, that the connection between those two was for us is about like, we care about if I have to wear a pair of shoes, we want to make sure they're comfortable. We want to make sure that that experience of stepping in the shoes is like lickety split. And so for us, it's like having these moments of thinking about the day-to-day consumer, where they're going, what are they doing, how are they interacting with our product, and how can we make that product better?
Your reputation is you're one of the lead authorities on branding in the state.
Says
And I-
who?
Well,
I'm kidding.
at least
Many.
So tell me a little bit. I'd love to hear some of your war stories and some of your thoughts and some of your learnings on the branding side.
Oh my God, that's such a broad question. Oh boy. I mean,
How's it changed over the past few years? I mean, whether it's
Yeah, because
companies that were really heavy direct to consumer before iOS updates to
Yeah.
now having to do retail.
Yeah.
Tell me kind of some of your
yeah,
thoughts.
I mean,
and some of your
luckily
trends.
we kind of. I mean, that's the sad part of building any business, whether it's D2C, whether it's in retail or wholesale or wherever it is. If you're in CPG or a consumer goods product brand, part of it's luck. Other part is hard work, right? And where you are, where you show up. And I think for Kizik specifically, luckily we were at a stage where we kind of dodged that iOS update. It like, if you were at a certain threshold, it killed your company,
Yeah.
or it helped. I don't think it helped, but you barely were kind of treading water
Yeah.
to like that whole business model in terms of like the hyper growth of like Purple or any of these other
Yep.
D2C brands and native brands. But I think for us is always about trying to demonstrate the product, trying to find value to give to the consumer. And there's so many different stories, especially within Kizik alone, was like, when I came on, our shoes were kind of like old, bulky, heavy. They were leather. They were, and we kind of pivoted and said,
Yeah.
like, we had to pull out of wholesale. So Kizik started in 2017. I didn't come on, or the team didn't really come on until 2019, because we ended up doing a partnership with Nike. Nike ended up licensing some of our technologies at Kizik. And so for us, it was always about, how do we find that unique moment of demonstrating the product and showing the value, right? Because you can talk about it all day. It's got these features. Here's all this stuff. But for us, it's about like we called it the aha moment. And it's like, it's when you see ads or like infomercials, you think of like Flex Seal or Billy Mays or the Slap Chop or any of these infomercials back in the 80s, 90s, or kind of set it and forget it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. And so for us is always kind of that demonstration moment. We had to demonstrate the value to the consumer. And so for us, it was more like, hey, your shoes are not the best looking, but for me and what I'm looking for right now as a consumer, I'm more about the function than I am the style, right? Because style is also subjective, right? Depending on where you are in your life. And so for us, it was always a learning curve of, how do we make sure the function stays supreme, and then our product development of, it will get more comfortable, it will get more kind of trend right. So it's kind of like taking those learnings, but we never dissociate from the function. And so for us, it was kind of, so I think the learnings on that have been like, do good by the consumer, show the value, show for whatever your reason is, right? I mean, we had so many, in the early days, we were just like trying so many different things. We're like, we partnered with the Parkinson's Foundation. We did all these things to be like, it's not the reason why we exist is because for Parkinson's, but we know it's a benefit to the consumer that have MS, that have Parkinson's, you know. And the beautiful thing about this, we've heard so many amazing stories of like, from people say like, I have not been able to put on my own shoes for 20 years. And I had, how many brands can you think of that could say, have that emotional relationship because of a product? It's very, very few, if I would imagine. But I think that's the beautiful thing about that brand building is being able to change people's lives, whether it be massive of, hey, I haven't been able to put my shoes on myself for 20 years, or I'm so busy, I'm in and out of my house, I need something that I can just pop into and they stay on when I'm running errands, when I'm going to soccer practice, when I'm doing all these things back and forth. And then when we came out with kids' shoes at Kizik, it was kind of like, as a parent, you know, we got a lot of heat on this online because you're like, we're not teaching kids how to tie shoes anymore. But there's a sense of empowerment, right? For my kids, when we came with kid shoes, I'm like, let me help you. Just step on. Dad, I can do it myself. You know, independent kids are.
Toddlers.
Yeah, they are just so specific about, you know, and they share their emotions very, very clearly.
They want to do it.
I want to do it myself. Oh, this is cool. And they end up sharing about it. I mean, we got to like 25% of our sales were all about word of mouth.
Wow. Because
you're like, once you step into the shoes, you're like, I'm thinking about my pregnant sister. I'm thinking about my cousin that had back surgery. There's an innate kind of like giving sense of what the product enables. It kind of sparks that mind frame. Wow, it's not just I have this experience I'm having stepping in the shoes, but you're automatically thinking about other people, which is super cool.
What's interesting is to your branding question that you said is what you said in a roundabout way that's interesting. Not only are you creating an education-based brand, right? Like a problem solution, you have the solution, but you're adding another layer to that solution to the consumer, which is an emotional connection.
Yes.
And I think if any brand out there can find that, you're going to sell
the
way
end
more.
of the day, I think for most brands to get from you're selling a commodity or you're building a brand, you cannot have you are doing one or the other. You're not doing both. To me, in the long run, right? And I think that's where brand building happens. Is like, what is the emotional connection to the consumer? It's like we can sell T-shirts all day long. We can sell pants all day. We can do all this stuff, but like it goes back to that old adage of, it's not about what you said, it's about what you made people feel. And for us specifically at True Classic, it's like, how do we give people that feeling we want them to be, whether they're in mind to buy a shirt or buy something. It's less about that, but more instilling when they are ready to buy, because it's the 95-5 rule. 95% of people are not in market to buy your product. It's only that 5%. So for us, it's like, how do we keep seeding that 95% in an authentic way to say, like, we are doing these good things that people can think about us. It's not like 20% off. Hey, we can do this, and it has these fees. It's less about that, but how do we show up in the world to make people feel good and look good? Not just by selling a commodity, but how do we really, the ethos of the brand, show up and get people to feel, man, I've never heard of this brand before, but I saw this video they did by, we just barely gave out $9 million worth of product.
Holy cow.
To homeless shelters.
Oh, that's right.
If you go to our True Classic Instagram page, we did this video last week with one of those kind of feel-good
giving dignity back to them.
MD motivator, and he did this thing on the street, and we gave their whole family. We're doing these partnerships with all these sports teams
I love
that, like in the LA Rams, the LA Clippers, LA Kings, like we're in the UFC and WWE. We're not doing that to just get our name out there. We're getting that, like, how do we use that audience? How do we use the sports audience to get people about who we are, and how do we showing up for the good for other people?
It just seems like videography particularly was the real key driver in True Classic. Because when you'd watch those videos and you'd see somebody wearing another, a typical shirt, and you'd see their body structure, and then they'd put on one of those, True Classic shirts. You're like, man, if that's real, that's really powerful. And there's certain brands that really have to rely heavily on that the whole video stuff, right?
Oh, totally.
And so that, I mean, for me, I'm assuming they created a few different concept types originally, and then they probably just saw an incredible ROAS of like, holy cow, when we show people this video that is actually going to make you look a lot better, then we're getting X return. I don't even want to know what the return was on dollars spent, but it had to have been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's less about advertising and more about entertainment, right? And it's like, how do we get, you're competing. I mean, this is not just True Classic, it's also Kizik, it's also any other CPG brand. It's like, you're competing against cat videos.
That's right.
You're not competing to another essential wears brand.
That's right.
You're not competing. The thing is, you're competing against all the other content that's out there. We all get there where we're like, we see a content of like cats fighting or dogs doing silly things, and are like, oh, that's funny, and that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we're competing against that of people's eyeballs, because
that's right.
We have the attention span of gold or less than goldfish, and so we have to like give consumers a reason to feel entertained. Not just don't just sell me.
It's not a commercial.
Tell me a story.
Yeah. That's right.
Tell me something that my time is valuable.
That's right.
And there's
Focus
that
less
respect.
on the product.
Yeah.
So
we
true.
want to talk about the product, but do it in a
subtle way.
In a subtle but entertaining way is the most important.
Well, and like to go back on what you said is like you watch the True Classic videos and you see like whoever puts on the shirt and them as a whole soul just like lights up.
Totally.
Like, dang, I look good. Like, check out my shirt.
Are you guys,
like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Is True Classic, are they relying much on the TikTok shops? Or is that not really huge?
I wouldn't say like relying on it. No, the thing about us, we're always looking at new channels to test. We're always trying about new things to test. The biggest thing, especially in CPG brands or D2C brands, is always testing, always trying new things. And if it works, throw gas on it, throw money on it to really like build it up. Don't just initially, hey, we're gonna do this big huge thing and it's gonna cost $5 million, and there's no impact to the consumer. There's no impact to ROAS. There's no impact. Like, we're going to be like, hey, we're going to start small wins. So like I was talking about these partnerships we're doing with the LA Kings, the LA Rams, the LA Clippers, UFC, WWE. We're always about like, how do we find those incremental wins? Like, some of these partnerships are like, we want to do a 5-year deal with you. And we're like, nope. Yeah. Like, let's do 1 year. Let's test it out. See if there's a fit. How do we make sure? Because we're to the premise of like most other big brands that do sponsorships. They're just like, here's $10 million. Throw my logo everywhere. Yeah. For us, it's not about that. It's more about like, where are we going to get the incremental value for the fan, right? It's not about, hey, post this. We're giving out a deal of 70% off or whatever to the LA Clipper fans. That's a small thing. For us, it's like, how do we show up for the fans? Yeah. How do we use those teams as a conduit to reach those new audience, to uplift them, make them feel confident, do good, feel good, look good?
Those small movements are really like critical. I think that's where you guys are really pragmatic. I don't know, have you ever watched that show Gold Rush?
Oh yeah, on History Channel.
Yeah, Discovery. Yeah, so it was so interesting because if you watch the first few seasons, it's just put a ton of money in total failure, and they just lose money year after year after year. And then I think it was like year 4, they met this. His name's Tony Beats up there. He's this crazy looking dude, and he was like, "You have to drill. You have to test the soil that you're on. Do 100 tests. Pay the money to pay the tests, and don't put it any. Don't make any." The word that they use is like, I'm trying to remember what it is, but basically, don't move the dirt on anything that you haven't drilled on until you know what the return is. And I know it's going to cost you money to do it, but it seems like that's kind of the same.
Yeah, and sometimes even that, I mean, to your point about that analogy was like, sometimes we might have a paid, like with True Classic or Kizik or whoever, you have an ad that you put out there, you feel really confident, and you're like, you could launch it 1 week and be like, what happened? Yeah. But then you can take it offline and 2 weeks later put that same video up to match with the algorithm of
That's right.
Facebook,
And it
Facebook,
booms.
Instagram, then you're like, whoa, this is
Same thing.
so
Yeah.
the same thing is like it's always about timing. You can never guess on what the timing will be, but it's more about like don't just throw that content away. It's like find a unique time to bring that back. How do you test it? What are we learning? What are the cut downs? What are the hooks? How are you going to get people to care or come to the site?
It reminds
Remember
me
us.
so much of that conversation with Devin Graham
Yeah.
for YouTube.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
like, he's just like, the video could almost look identical, and if it doesn't hurry and blow up, take it back off.
Yeah.
And then later on, have it resurface.
Same thing with like if you look at Jamie Donaldson with Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Like they test like 100 different thumbnails
Wow.
until they find the right one that they go with moving forward.
Wow.
And it's a matter of that testing will help inform a 10 million or 100+ million video
right. Very big
view
difference.
video, right? So it's like, and it's not just there's multiple testing iterations along those stages.
Yeah.
Thumbnails is one of them, right? So
That's so
And the
interesting.
curiosity in all of the steps you take as a brand, as any business, is so interesting. How many questions can you ask? What can you like learn even just from each step you're taking is really interesting of this conversation. That's cool.
oh, totally.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You remind me a lot of Chris Meek. There's a few like really heavy brand guys in the state. Do you know Chris Meek?
Yeah.
With Gab.
Yeah.
Just really smart, brilliant dudes that are on that heavy on that side of the world, because there's so many brands out there that don't put the money into the branding side. They just launch a product and then they wonder why it never went.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a really good product too,
Yeah.
right? Like it could be the best of the best, super educational, solving a problem, but nothing
That
behind it.
that was always I get that question probably the most, and it's always kind of that eternal question everyone asks. It's like, well, do I do brand or do I do performance first, right? I'm a big brand guy, but it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a CPG or products, I would go performance and then lean into brand, right?
I agree. Yeah.
So because it's like you have to capture that product market fit first. If you cannot capture that product market fit first, you have no brand.
Yeah.
You have no reason to do anything other than just like figure out performance, awareness, and then push them down to those other stages: consideration, purchase, loyalty, etc. So for me, I'm a big believer of like at what point that is.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, well, if you're under 50 million ARR or bookings or whatever it might be, it just depends on the business. But you always have to be thinking about people nowadays care less about what you're selling, and they're starting to care more about why you're selling it.
Yeah.
They don't care about the how. Nobody cares about the how. They're like, you're making T-shirts. I don't care how they're made.
Yeah.
I care about why you're doing it, or what is the emotional benefit
Right.
for me as a consumer watching this content, or doing whatever you're doing. Why should I care about you?
Because everybody right now, every individual person views themselves as their own brand. And I don't think that's always been the case.
No.
And so now they have to look at a product and say, does that brand match me and my brand that I'm building out, right?
Totally.
Well, and what's interesting for me is on the retail side of that is like you as a consumer trust certain retailers for that exact reason. Like I know I'm going to go shop at Sprouts because I trust those buyers are looking for the ingredients that I know are going to be in ABC.
Totally.
And so the same thing is with any product. It's like, how are you going to support those brands that you believe in? And I don't know, just be picky about being your own individual brand too is
Totally.
interesting.
100%. 100%.
It's been super cool having you on here, Blake, and chatting about
appreciate it.
Such a
Yeah.
privilege.
everything brand. I'm excited to have you, speak at the Slope Summit and have you at the next Retail Collective.
Happy to be
events,
here.
and
Appreciate
just
being
you add
here.
a lot to the community, so appreciate you coming
thank
on.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Appreciate
much.
you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
we'll follow you up and maybe hopefully grab you back in a year and see how
That would be
some
so
of your initiatives
fun.
at True
Yeah.
Classic and others
Yeah.
have kind of worked.
Awesome.
I
Love it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
In the fast paced world of retail, technology can be a transformative force, reshaping the way businesses operate and consumers shop. Is your retail organization leveraging technology to its top capabilities? Evolving your technology capabilities can help enhance visibility into your business, decrease risk of increasing cybersecurity incidents, accelerate productivity with artificial intelligence, and more. Deeply immersed in the consumer products industry, Baker Tilly professionals bring customized solutions that can help you find the right technology fit. Visit bakertilly.com to learn more.